He is against Helios, who is actually a player from Spider. Spider is a player from, a team from Taiwan. They have some of the best players in all of Taiwan, so this should be a pretty great game. I'll find out if my stream sounds all right, but as this is such last minute, I literally just started streaming. We'll see what happens. So this is going to be on Atlantis Spaceship. It's going to be a TVZ. Helios, one of the better Zerg players in all of Taiwan, and the STC, of course, a very familiar Korean player. We'll see exactly how these players do. I'm not sure exactly the styles of either of these players, so we'll have to see what this game has in store for us. You know, it's just going to be a story that unfolds before us in a way that I'm really excited to check out. Now, Atlantis Spaceship is not one of my favorite maps, but it does have a few interesting dynamics on it. Once this decides to load, I'll get into exactly what it is. Alright, here we go. Oh, I can't use, apparently I can't use hotkeys. Does Control-N work? Oh, Control-N works. Alright, so spawning on the eastmost spawning position of Atlantis Spaceship, we have our Red Terran player, the STC. And spawning on the westmost spawning position, we have our Blue Zerg, SpiderHelios. So both of these players very, very competent at their specific races. So this particular map actually has some interesting features that are worth pointing out. For example, these bases right over here. Oh, no, not these bases. Oh, are these this map version? Because that would actually be pretty fascinating. Yeah, these aren't pocket expansions like they are on the North American server. So never mind. We do have these two Zelmaga watchtowers in the middle of the map. And we're going to see SpiderHelios. Now, these are cross and try to scout those positions. I'm getting some serious lag, though. Maybe this isn't working out for me that well. Anyway, SpiderHelios. Helios is going to try to scout these close positions. Of course, he's not going to find his opponent. But I actually think that this version of this map is actually forced cross-spawn. I'm not exactly sure. Helios doesn't know that off the top of his head. Meanwhile, the STC is going to be going for a standard wall-off at the front of his ramp, as you'd expect. Supply depot, barracks, going to get another side. Very likely to try to hide everything he can from his opponent. He doesn't even raise that supply depot to try to make his opponent's drone go a little bit far around, but that's all right. He's going to ST as little pressure as possible, well, I guess the most pressure at this point as possible, putting some pressure on that SCV, and is the STC really going to let it go down? Oh, that drone, that SCV just gets away. The drone's very, very low on health. Of course, he will bring that back. He should repair that, at least just a little bit. Is he going to let this attack happen? I cannot believe that the STC just let that SCV die. The STC's SCV went down. And to keep that drone alive as much as possible, Helios is going to go ahead and put that thing on an extractor. So very, very nice little thing to do. He can keep this thing alive. Once Marines do start coming out, he's going to be able to cancel this extractor and retake it very quickly. Meanwhile, back on Helios' side, we see that he did go for that hatchery very early. He's just now getting a spawning pool down and not going for either of these gases. So he's going for nothing that's terribly, terribly risky. As a Zerg player, it's really, really nice to have this this extra expansion out because it gives you that opportunity to get as much larva out as possible. And when it comes down to it, that's going to be exactly what you need. Let's say Hellions come out or any quick aggression from those barracks. Really, what it comes down to is you're going to be able to have the larva to deal with that. Some people seem to think that getting your spawning pool first is safer against Terran, but as it turns out, a lot of the Zerg players have realized since then that getting that hatchery down early is the best thing to do. From the STC, we do see that he's now taking this his command center down here, and I imagine he should be taking this gas as soon as it comes up. But given that he's stuck on one gas, I imagine that we might see a reactor at some point, maybe going for Hellions, just slightly delayed. But we're definitely not going to see any of those Banshees out of him, anything like that. So, just standard play coming out of both players. I love this play. STC going for a quick third command center. Now this provides a lot of opportunities for him. Basically, what it says is, hey, I'm going to go ahead and try to get my economy up and keep up with yours as a Zerg player. Having this third command center down means he's able to drop that many more mules, and he's able to put down 3 command centers at a time, 3 SCVs at a time. just from all three of these. So he can saturate his main very, 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 very quickly. He can saturate his natural very, very quickly. And we also see a factory coming down from him as well. So I don't see a reactor coming out, so maybe he's just heading up towards Starport, but I imagine we'll see a couple Hellions out. Interestingly, since that Queen buff that came out for Zerg players, it's actually, Queens have been much, much more effective against that Hellion pressure very, very early on. And what that means is that creep spread has been unbelievable as far as Zerg players are concerned. We have a lot of that 4 Queen build coming out, but our own Zerg player at this moment happened to finish his Roach Warren, immediately getting 5 Roaches. So it looks like he's going to be putting on that pressure very, very quickly. Interestingly, he is on 2 gases already, so it looks like he's going to be seriously trying to tech up and seriously trying to get a lot of Roaches out. Unfortunately for him, he is a little bit supply blocked, and that Overlord that he's making right now did come out a little bit late, but he should be all right anyway. He already has Lings outside of the STC's base and even more rallying forward. Once these Roaches kind of get up towards what his opponent is doing, he's going to send these Lings in. At the moment, they're just poking forward. Is he actually going to run around? Ooh, it looks like he's trying to get us around on that bunker. And of course, it's not going to go down immediately because these SCVs are coming out actually from Helios. That wasn't that great of a tactical maneuver. He probably should have waited for those Roaches to come along. He should continue making Overlords, though, because he will be supply blocked very, very soon. Siege Tech is on the way for STC, and STC has to do everything he can to delay until that Siege Tech is finished, and then he'll be really, 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 really safe. But it looks like the STC is scared already, trying to pull any SCVs that he can in. He's going to wait for that Siege Tech to finish, and in the meantime, get all the Marines up here he can. He does have a bunker, he does have a tank out, and that Siege Tech is only fucking 5 seconds away, and here come the Roaches, but they're just going to sit back. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see Helios try to pull back from this all-in, because this is fairly all-in, but he's just going to go straight for the Baneling bust. Baneling's going to go in first. Roach is trying to deal with what damage they can from behind. Here come the Banelings going straight for that supply depot. Roach is coming in. Ooh, some great tank firing. That Siege Tech doing wonders means that the supply depot isn't even going to go down, and that means Helios is going to be so far behind. He knows exactly what's happening to himself. His opponent picked up his command center, was able to get it out of there. He's already on the 3rd command center. His opponent has Siege Tech up. I mean, all of these units are going to be pretty much useless at this point. So Helios has been seriously, seriously committed to this, and just now he's trying to make more drones to find his way out of this. Of course, I just don't think it's going to be possible. At least rather not that effective. It's always possible that a player can come back. He's immediately going for his 3rd, which is really the best that he can do at this point. There's no way he's going to break this wall. With 2 siege tanks and the STC's micro, he's going to be able to target down any Banelings that come his way. And of course, we do have enough Marines out to take the rest of that. To take the rest of everything. So from here on out, the STC really just needs to play as safely as possible, and that's exactly what we see him doing. He's trying to put this base down, but it looks like a lot of Lings are running in. Siege tanks are going to be able to handle that without too much of an issue at all. This base is definitely going to stay up, and Helios actually opening up this wall right now, which I think is actually an interesting decision from him. Really what that comes down to is that means that his opponent's going to be able to maneuver units back and forth, so definitely an interesting choice. Anyway, as I was saying earlier, the STC is just going to try to play as safely as possible. He already has the economic advantage. He has, he has the army advantage given the fact that he's a defender right now and not actually on the offensive. So he's taking this opportunity to invest in his tech. He's going to be able to get +1 armor and +1 weapons out. Stim is on the way. He is in as good of a position as it gets. Of course, we're going to have to see if he's going to be able to take this game off of Helios, which is looking pretty good for him, but you never know. So over on Helios' side, we see him, he doesn't want to commit too heavily to upgrades. He is getting that +1 carapace, but he's not really going to be able to do that much more, given how much he invested in his units early on. Given the fact that he did get all of that army out as quickly as possible, he's just not in a position to really invest there, especially taking this 3rd to try to get his economic game back in this. On the other hand, when you consider the fact that his opponent's on 3 bases already, the STC, who's been supply blocked for a really long time. Actually, both players are really not really on top of their game as far as supply blocks are concerned. Both players have been supply blocked for a while. But given the fact that the STC is on 3 bases, he can create these 3 SCVs at a time. He has 3 orbitals worth of mules. He's going to be in such a good position economically. In fact, Helios, I don't even think he can really get back in this economically, so he should be trying to focus on everything he can on getting either the upgrade advantage or keeping his army advantage and just going straight out. He's kind of relying on his opponent at this point to make mistakes, which is something that you know, when a player's behind, that's exactly what they have to do. So a lot of respect to Helios for sticking in this and seeing exactly where this game will go. On his side, he did get layer tech up and running. Here we see this infestation pit on the way. His opponent, on the other hand, getting that +1 weapons, +1 vehicle weapons, getting that +2 bio weapons and +2 ground armor. So he's going to be in such a lovely position to handle anything that Helios can throw his way. If we check out what sort of units are over here, I really like this Zergling control, but when it comes down to it, the STC just isn't. He doesn't have to focus on drops. He can play very, very safely by not even committing to drops, and should be able to go right down his opponent's front door. But anyway, we do see an infestation pit on the way. If we check out this units tab, we see that there are 66 drones against 62 in favor of Helios. Unbelievable macro from him, but we have 36 lings and 3 roaches, which just means that, you know, he's not really, Helios isn't going to be in a position to put on that much pressure. We do have Marines out here already. We have a siege tank out already, and these lings are going to try to break their way in, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets noted. I believe the STC actually has vision of these rocks, and he can see them going down. See, he does have vision of those rocks, so he's going to be able to see them on the way. We do have a few banelings out on the field for STC, and we have pathogen glands on the way. So here come the lings. They're giving up on those rocks. They're moving on in, but all these huge baneling hits take out the rest of the STC's Marines. He's going to need to kite back what he can. We already see a couple supply depots going down, and one baneling does get in. Of course, not able to do that much damage, as it does take 2 banelings to kill any SCVs. So none of them actually went down. In fact, those would be able to get repaired if the STC wanted to. It looks like he's just going to push right across the map. Once again, supply blocks for just a moment. 2 supply depots about to finish up. So his opponent, on the other hand, going for this 4th base, I don't know if I actually like that decision. He should have been able to imagine that his opponent was going for a quick counterattack. After having lost those units, you know, he's in a position where I know I can put on some pressure just because my opponent has been so far behind for so long. In fact, he's already banking up about 700 minerals. He's going to throw down some scans to get rid of this creep spread, which is a really important move from a Terran player. You know, the STC playing so solidly, other than those supply blocks, of course, but playing so solidly, making 11 Marines at a time. Some nice baneling hits going down, but that's just not going to be enough, as the STC is right in his opponent's face. I love this Marine splitting already in between the tanks, so that those tanks are going to be able to focus fire down anything that comes his way. Here come a bunch of lings and a bunch of banelings to try to do what they can. STC pulling back. A few good baneling hits do go down, but, you know, once again, it's just not going to be enough quite yet. He really needs to get that all in, killing all of these tanks. I think the most important part of this entire attack are these tanks right here. So, I mean, the STC in a much more comfortable position, and he's going to be able to leapfrog forward at the best of his ability. Fungal goes down, and that's going to clean up these Marines, but we have a ton of Marines following up behind this, and even more tanks as well. Tanks now right in the third of Helios, of the STC's opponent. A few Marines, they can stim forward if they'd like to. The third does go down. There's nothing mining at the 4th. There are a ton of drones back here just wasting time, idling, not able to do anything, basically just taking up supply. So if we look at that army supply at this point, 46 to 113, 43, and going down once again. Big fungals. I think if Helios wants to keep in this, he has to use those. He has to use those infestors to the best of their ability. Those are really the only cost-efficient unit he has right now. But when it comes down to it, that's just not going to be enough. So instead, going for this counterattack, which I really like the idea of, but even if he tries to push this into a base race, I don't think he has enough to do it. The STC supply now 180, and Helios has to go ahead and GG. So, of course, the STC just playing a very, very solid game right